First of all, what is the Antarctic krill? Antarctic krill is a small crustacean measuring no more than 2 inches. Its body is translucent and it has the incredible ability of bioluminescence, which means they can make their own light. It lives in massive swarms in the cold waters of the Southern Ocean, feeding mainly on phytoplankton. This diet makes it the base of the marine food web in the region. Don't forget about that. Let's see some fun facts about these unusual species. First of all, the Antarctic krill is the animal with the greatest biomass on the planet. Gabriela, what does it mean, biomass? First of all, the biomass is the total mass of all krill in the ocean. With this information, now, according to institutions such as the Marine Stewardship Council and the Chilean Antarctic Institute, there are an estimated between 400 and 500 million tons of krill in the ocean. So, by biomass, the total mass of all krill in the ocean, it is probably the most abundant animal species on the planet, up to 30,000 individuals per cubic meter. And the krill reproduce through external fertilization, which means that males deposit their sperm sacs near females, which then release eggs into the water. In a single spawning, female krill can lay up to 10,000 eggs. Yes, 10,000. So, why why the Antarctic krill is so important? What is their ecological value? I'm going to summarize it in one phrase. They are some delicious thieves for a good reason. I'm going to explain that. First of all, why did I say I never taste the Antarctic krill before and I'm never gonna do it? But for some animals, this is really, really, really delicious. This is their main food source. For example, for whales like the blue whale, humpback, or minke whale, or in the case of penguins, the emperor penguin, the Adelie penguin, or the chinstrap penguin. Then we have the seals like the leopard seal or the Weddell seal, and the seabirds like the black-browed albatross, the southern giant petrel, or the snow petrel. Now, I'm going to talk about an unusual term that is the reason that I call them carbon thieves. How so? They are the engineers of what scientists call the biological pump. Biological pump. How does it work? First of all, feeding and excretion. Krill feed on phytoplankton at the ocean surface, absorbing organic carbon. Organic carbon. Second, the production of fecal pellets. Krill produce dense fecal pellets containing organic carbons and fragments of diatom shells, that is a type of phytoplankton. Then, these fecal pellets are heavy and sink very fast to the ocean floor, taking trapped carbon with them. And once at the greater depths, the carbon remains stored in the seabed far from the atmosphere for long periods of time, helping to reduce surface carbon dioxide concentrations and mitigate climate change. This species is extremely important and essential, but it faces some threats that are really, really dangerous. And one of them is actually the countdown for life in Antarctica, that is the overfishing. You may ask why? Because in recent decades, industrial krill fishing has increased significantly, driven by the demand for krill oil for dietary supplements and krill meal for aquaculture and pet food. Yes, pet food. While regulations exist on their bodies, such as the CCAMLR, CCAR, or the Convention for the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources, they are insufficient in some areas and not always strictly enforced. So we're going to talk about some reasons about the overfishing. First of all, the fishing in critical feeding grounds. Much of the industrial krill catch takes place near areas where whales, seals, and penguins obtain most of their food. This creates like a direct competition between fishing fleets and marine wildlife, reducing krill availability for natural predators and impacting their survival and reproduction. The second one is the mass fishing with new technologies. Modern techniques such as continuous troll nets and suction systems allows enormous quantities of krill to be caught in a short time. While this boosts fishing efficiency, we're not gonna lie about that, it also increases or accelerates population depletion and limits the time ecosystems have to recover. And then the insufficient or poorly enforced regulations. Although bodies such as the CCAMLR set fishing limits and designated zones, in some regions, these rules are weakly enforced. And this opens the door to overexploitation and fishing in places and seasons that should be protected. So, overfishing threatens not only krill, but the entire food chain and even human communities that depend on ecotourism and scientific research in the region. But this is not only this is not the one threat that the krill is facing. There are other ones. For example, like the climate change and the pollution by microplastics. I'm going to talk a little bit about the climate change. The climate change affects directly the krill. It depends on sea ice for reproduction as larvae feed on algae that grows beneath the ice. So the ice loss in Antarctica reduces its habitat and jeopardizes its life cycle. So on top of this, krill have been found to ingest microplastics, and these pollutants harm their health and are passed along the food chains. That I'm going to talk about two terms that are really important in this case about the pollution by microplastics that are the bioaccumulation and biomagnification. The bioaccumulation in this context, in this example, is when the krill takes by mistake microplastic as food. And what happens with that? The krill is basically contaminated by this microplastic. And when the whale, for putting an animal, a random animal, when the whale feeds on the krill, they are basically getting also these these pollutants, these microplastics, and this is affecting the whole chain, not only the krill, but all of the animals that are related to it. So we're going to talk about how can we help, how can we stop this. I think that each person has the power to make a difference in the conservation of Atlantic krill. And I'm going to talk about some suggestions, about some solutions of how can we help the krill. The first one is the science-based fisheries management. Set quotas based on population size and reproduction rates, and also ban fishing in critical feeding areas for wildlife. The second one, strengthening multilateral agreements, which means reinforce frameworks like the CCAMLR and create stricter enforcement rules. The next one is the expansion of marine protected areas, especially in critical zones like the Weddell Seal, the Antarctic Peninsula, like that. The other ones are traceability and certification of sustainable fishing. Gabriela, what does it mean traceability? Well, The traceability is the ability to track the origin, in this case, of krill from its capture to the final product. For example, krill oil or krill meat. This is crucial for ensuring legality, sustainability, and the transparency in the trade of these species. Basically, is to promote the consumption of krill with sustainability labels such as the MSC, that is basically Marine Stewardship Council. The next one is the innovation and investment in alternatives like plant based omega 3 supplements or in controlled krill farming. Something that I learned when I saw for the first time the documentary of Sylvia, that is Mission Blue, is that we usually think that the fish has the omega 3, but it's not like that. They have the omega 3 because of the food, of the things that they eat or they feed. For example, the phytoplankton has the omega 3, not the fish. The fish has it because they consume these things. And the last one, and not less important, the education and public awareness to show people that the krill is not just fish food or is not some animal that is kind of similar to the shrimp. No, the krill is a very essential living thing, is a pillar of planetary balance in a level talking about the climate, talking about the ecosystems, talking about life. And I want to finish about talking about no matter where you are, no matter if where you are doesn't have any like connection with the sea, if you're not near to the sea, it doesn't matter because in some way or another you are intrinsically connected to the ocean. So I'm connected to the krill. You're connected to the krill. We're all connected to the krill because, like Alexander von Humboldt said once, in nature, everything is connected. So let's protect the foundation of life. Let's protect the Antarctic krill.